Nobody was watching. That was the whole point. While the camera stayed fixed on the public face of the royal family, something else was happening. Something financial, something legal, something that would shift the balance of power inside the monarchy in a matter of weeks. And the name at the center of it? Laura Lopez. But before we get to her, we need to go back to May, because that's when William made a move that left everyone inside the palace stunned. He liquidated 20% of the entire commercial real estate portfolio from the Duchy of Cornwall, £500 million, pulled out of the active market, without warning, without negotiation, without asking anyone's permission. The official statement talked about housing initiatives, community reinvestment. It sounded reasonable. It sounded generous. It wasn't the real reason. According to internal palace documents that were later leaked, William wasn't investing in communities. He was cutting off a network. For over 2 decades, private trusts and civilian funds have been operating inside the royal estate system, moving money, quietly, into directions that benefited Camilla's circle. Instead of the direct line of succession, William found it, and he pulled the plug on all of it. His own advisors warned him. They told him the king and Camilla's household would see this as an attack. They told him it would cause serious disruption. William's response? We don't care. The duchy's resources, he said, serve the people, not private interests. No negotiation, no compromise, just a move. But here's what nobody understood yet. The £500 million wasn't the real weapon. It was a distraction. Because while all of that was unfolding, a woman named Laura Lopez walked into Sotheby's auction house with 2 pieces of jewelry. And the moment someone at Kensington Palace saw the image, everything changed. What was in those images? Why did they cause such panic? And who had kept these pieces hidden for over 26 years? That answer is darker than anyone expected. To anyone casually looking at them, they were just vintage pieces. A black diamond pendant on a fine chain, an intricate sapphire bracelet, maybe family heirlooms, maybe being prepared for a private event. Nothing unusual. But the moment someone at Kensington Palace saw the image, they didn't see vintage jewelry. They saw Diana. These were the exact pieces Princess Diana wore in the late 1980s. Pieces that William had confronted Camilla about directly back in 2000, when he was still a teenager. After that confrontation, the jewelry disappeared, locked away, for 26 years. Nobody had seen them. Nobody was supposed to see them again. And now, Laura Lopez had walked into Sotheby's with both of them. But this wasn't careless. This wasn't someone casually trying to sell a family heirloom. The operation was deliberate, calculated, step by step. Step 1. The jewelry gets logged into Sotheby's system under Laura's name, labeled civilian property. Nothing special. Step 2. Because these pieces have been kept outside the official Crown Estate Registry for so long, there was no modern documentation on them. No paper trail. Legal gray area. Step 3. Once Sotheby's officially catalogs them under a civilian name, the royal history disappears from the record. They become private property. Not Diana's estate. Not the Crown's collection. Just someone else's jewelry. It was almost perfect. Almost. The moment William's team intercepted that image, he didn't make phone calls. He didn't try to negotiate with Camilla. He didn't go through family channels. He canceled his entire international schedule and called his lawyers. One direct order. The jewelry is documented as part of Diana's estate. It will not be appraised. Recovery protocols activated immediately. That single order legally reclassified what Laura had. Not a family disagreement. Not a misunderstanding. Misappropriated crown property. But William wasn't finished. He was about to do something nobody had seen an heir apparent do in modern history. He drove to Sandringham with a leather binder and a document the king had never been shown before. What was inside that binder would change everything, and it would force the king to make a choice he could never take back. That moment is waiting in part 3. The meeting at Sandringham was not a family visit. It was not a casual conversation. It was calculated political theater. William walked in carrying a letters patent for asset reclassification, a constitutional document that said if the monarch could not adequately protect the Crown's historical properties because of his health condition, then the heir apparent had the legal standing to petition the Privy Council, which would make William Prince Regent, and strip the king of executive power over those assets. William laid it on the table and told his father directly, either you sign the document to protect the Crown's assets, or I go to the Privy Council myself. Sign, or face a constitutional crisis about his own capacity to rule. The king signed, one signature, and Diana's jewelry was officially classified as crown property, held exclusively for the direct line of succession, bypassing Camilla's household completely. The moment that signature dried, the legal machinery moved. May 23rd. William's lawyers filed a Mariv injunction with the High Court, one of the most aggressive financial tools available under British law. Every account, every investment portfolio, every trust fund associated with Laura Lopez, frozen within minutes. Alerts went to Coutts, alerts went to Barclays. Every major institution, Laura's entire financial life, stopped. May 24th. 5:30 in the morning. Police arrived at Laura's Wiltshire estate. High Court enforcement order. Ministerial-level search warrant. They went in. They found the pieces. The black diamond pendant. The sapphire bracelet. Everything documented. Everything official. And just like that, it was over. Inside Clarence House, Camilla was trying to stop it. She called her legal team. She tried to use sovereign immunity to shield her daughter. The lawyers told her flat out, it won't work. Sovereign immunity does not extend to private citizens. Under the law, Laura Lopez was just a civilian, holding crown property without authorization. So Camilla tried the only other thing she knew: control the narrative, shape the story. William had already anticipated that. He implemented a total communication blackout. Buckingham Palace press office shut down. No statements, no denials, nothing without direct approval from Kensington Palace. Bloomberg, the Wall Street Journal, every major outlet tracking the unusual banking freezes, legally prevented from connecting the dots. By the time the sun came up on May 24th, Camilla found herself completely silenced. The woman who had spent a lifetime shaping public narratives had no way to respond. But here's what nobody was talking about yet. When the court audit began on June 14th, they discovered something. The two pieces Laura had at Sotheby's, they weren't the only ones missing. There were 14 documented artifacts missing from the Highgrove repository. William's team had recovered 2. 12 were already gone. And, according to tracking data, they were sitting inside an anonymous private holding company, registered in Delaware. Why Delaware? Because Delaware is somewhere the British legal system cannot touch, and attached to the forensic paper trail was a code name, the Montecito Connection. If you know anything about the royal family, you already know who that's pointing toward. Laura Lopez got sloppy. That's the only reason anyone found out. She walked into Sotheby's with 2 pieces. 2 pieces out of 14, which means this was never just about Laura. The 2 pieces at the auction house weren't a random decision. They were the tail end of something much larger, a coordinated operation designed to move Diana's entire collection out of British jurisdiction, piece by piece. 12 artifacts, already gone, already sitting inside an anonymous holding company in Delaware, registered in a way that makes them legally untouchable by British courts. And the name attached to the forensic trail? The Montecito Connection. Someone who left the UK permanently. Someone with resources. Someone with international connections. Someone who knew how to move valuable items across borders without raising alarms. Someone who would benefit from holding pieces of Diana's legacy as leverage, because that's what this is really about. Not jewelry, not sentiment. Leverage. Diana's pieces don't just have financial value. They have symbolic value. They represent a direct connection to her memory, to what she meant to the direct line of succession. If those pieces end up in a private collection overseas, they become something else entirely. They become a pressure point, something to bargain with, something the British legal system can't reach. William understood this, which is why what he did next was genius. He went public. Kensington Palace. Calm voice. Matter of fact. My mother's legacy is not a commodity to be bargained over. The boundary has been set. That's all he said. Simple, direct, and then he established the Diana Heritage Trust. Every piece of jewelry, every personal artifact, locked inside a legal entity with ironclad terms, completely bypassing the current sovereign's household, designated exclusively for Catherine, and eventually for Princess Charlotte. No exceptions, no loopholes, no family member from any other circle ever touches them again. 2 pieces recovered, 12 still missing. But the message was sent. And here's what's remarkable about all of it. Most of the public barely noticed. The media couldn't report because of confidentiality orders. Laura Lopez signed an agreement and disappeared. Camilla couldn't speak because she was legally silenced. The king's role got minimized because everything ran through the courts. By June 14th, it was almost anticlimactic. No dramatic trial. No public confrontation. Just a legal agreement. And a statement about a heritage trust. But internally, everyone knows what happened. Everyone knows William outmaneuvered Camilla. Everyone knows the king had to submit to pressure from his own son. Everyone knows that the moment Charles signed a decree at Sandringham, the dynamic inside the monarchy changed. Permanently. Camilla still has her title. Charles is still technically the reigning monarch. But in terms of actual authority, in terms of who makes decisions that stick, that power has moved to William's office. And somewhere, in a private holding company registered in Delaware, 12 pieces of Diana's jewelry are sitting, waiting, held by someone who clearly believes they're worth keeping. In royal drama, when someone holds leverage like that, they don't hold it for nothing. The story doesn't end here. It just changes shape. Some battles in this family never make the headlines because the most powerful moves happen in rooms the public never sees. Some losses never appear in history books because history remembers crowns, not broken hearts. Do you think William did what he had to do, or did he go too far? Tell us in the comments. And if this story kept you watching, like, subscribe, and don't miss what comes next.